3 problems that we need to do are recast problems. So it's where they take one shape, normally made of some kind of metal, and they melt it down and use the metal to make another shape. So in this example, we have a solid metal sphere. It's made of lead. It's recast, so they melt it down and they use the lead from the sphere to make a cylinder. They tell us that the cylinder has a radius of 8.1 centimeters and a height of 6, and they want us to find the radius of the sphere. So I suppose the first thing that we want to note is that the volume of the original sphere, so whatever volume of lead is in the sphere, is going to end up in the cylinder. Okay, they don't tell us otherwise, so we can assume that all the lead that's in the sphere goes into the cylinder. So that's it, sort of written in English. Now we need to write it in maths. So we go and we find the formula for the volume of a sphere, which is 4/3 pi r cubed, and the formula for the volume of a cylinder, which is pi r squared h. So we were given some information. We were told that the radius of this cylinder, that's this, is 8.1, and we were told that the height of the cylinder, which is this, is 6. So we can put them into their spots. So we get 4/3 pi radius cubed equals pi. Change this to 8.1 squared and change this to 6. Okay, so now we do what we can, as in any maths you can do, you do. Just keep the pi. I'll explain why in a second. So I'm not going to do the pi, but I am going to type in 8.1 squared and I'm going to multiply it by 6. And when you do that, you get 393.66. Okay, so when you multiply these two together, you get this. Okay, so then I have a pi on both sides of the equation, so I can divide by pi and that will cancel them out. So if I divide this side by pi, I lose the pi, and divide this side by pi, I lose the pi. So the pi's are gone. That's why it's handy to keep them if you can, because they just cancel out. So now I have 4/3, pi is gone, so r cubed equals 393.66. I'm trying to get r. This r is the radius of the sphere. That's what I don't know. So if I have a number and a letter and I want to isolate the letter, I just divide by the number and that will cancel it out. But if I do that on one side, I have to do that on the other side. So I divide the other side by 4 cubes. Sorry, 4/3, not 4 cubes. So there's r cubed, and the other side, if I type it in, becomes 295.245. Now, I need to get rid of this cubed. So, to remove the cube, you have to use the inverse of a cube. That's how you get rid of anything. So up here, this is a multiplication that I was trying to get rid of. So I used division to get rid of it. So you always do the opposite. So if I want to remove this cube here, I need to use the inverse of a cube. So if you have anything cubed, the opposite or the inverse of that is what's called the cubed root. And you'll find that button on your calculator. Okay, so if I want to get rid of a cube, I use a cubed root. And because the cubed root and the cube are inverses, they will cancel each other out. But like in maths, it always has to be balanced. So if I take the cubed root of the left, I have to take the cube root of the right. Okay, so the cube and the cubed root cancel each other out. So all that's left on the left is r, which is what I wanted. I wanted it isolated. So I'm going to use my calculator to get the cubed root. So I need to use shift and square root to get the cube root. And it gives me 6.65877. And it goes on. Okay, so if I just scroll back up to the question so we can highlight this, it asks for our answer correct to 2 decimal places. So that means round to 2 decimal places. So if I go back down, 2 decimal places, here's 1, 2, and stop. The 8 is big enough to push this 5 up. So it will not stay as a 5, it will become 6.66 centimeters for the radius of the sphere. Okay, so I hope that makes sense and helps with the homework.